Ready to have a discussion or a rant about anything at all? What's on your mind today? What's on your mind? What's happening in your world where you are?
Right now, at the moment, not much. That's why I downloaded this app.
Okay, okay. So you clicked on the theme rant about anything, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So is there anything happening in the world around about you, say in your work or your studies or your life or your family or your friendships, anything that's getting on your nerves, getting on your mind? Because usually there's something somewhere, right?
Yes, there's always something. My photography professor is getting on my nerves.
A professor getting on students' nerves.
Yeah.
How unusual. So what's the reason? What is he doing that's getting on your nerves? What's he doing?
Okay, so we get these projects that we have to do, and we take the photos of how he wants it. We edit them exactly the same as he wants it, and he says, "You didn't do this." And I sit right next to him, and I edit the photo from the beginning, and he says, "You didn't do that," but I know I went and did it.
So he's bullshitting basically.
Yes, pretty much. He's just giving me shit for no reason.
Okay. So why has he got this chip on his shoulder then? Why is he picking on you? What's going on there? Why is he doing that?
Well, secretly, I honestly think he's realizing that there might be better photographers than him out there. So he's feeling a little
challenged.
Yes, he's feeling challenged. He's feeling downsized. So yeah.
Keep him down. Keep him down. Yeah, keep him grow. Don't let them grow.
Yeah, it's and even all the other students in the classroom, as they would say, they've also noticed. No, he's only being like this to this one kid. So he's only reacting this way towards myself, towards me. Yeah.
Well, maybe he's setting an example with you. For everybody else. Maybe he's like, look, if you don't follow what I do, then, or what I tell you to do, then you're gonna suffer the same fate as this poor student. Sit next to me and listen to my insane bullshit, right? So, and I think that this is much more common in education than people would believe, right? That the teachers maybe feel threats from their students, especially if it's photography. That's like the artistic sphere, right?
Yeah. There's always people that are much better than the professors in the beginning of the whole seminar.
And
they feel like they've got a big challenge ahead of them. So they start picking on those students,
Yeah, that's true. Hey, is this professor a successful photographer?
I'm not really sure. I haven't Googled his name or anything.
Okay, then he's not.
I barely even know his name.
Then he's not, right? Because you would know, right? You would know, because somebody would tell you, hey, it's the lecture with this guy, or somebody would mention his book, or somebody would tell you something, right?
Yeah, someone would tell me he's a famous photographer for something he did, but no one seems to know this guy.
Okay, so this guy is like really sort of ineffectual in his own field, because everybody would know him if he'd have exhibitions and he'd have a lot of stuff going on, and people would be giving him a lot more respect, right? But
exactly.
And this is one of the problems in education, right? Where a lot of people who are teaching things are not experts in the field. Yeah, and it's interesting, right? You can call him a professor, right? To profess is to say that you know. It is not to know; it's to say that you know, right?
To say that you know.
Yeah, and so there's a difference there. So I think that you can take a little bit of comfort from the fact that it's like you're sitting there with like, I don't even know who this guy is, right?
Yes, I don't know the professor's name. They're just like, okay, you're going to be with this guy for 3 semesters, and he's going to tell you how to do photography.
Okay, and you could probably learn the same amount or maybe even more by yourself, right?
Yes, exactly. I could just Google everything that I would like to know.
Exactly. And therefore, therefore teaching as we know it is dead, right?
Yeah.
Because this,
No one has a proper teaching diploma anymore now, do they?
well, it's just this, it's this idea that the original job of teachers was to give the information that they'd collected throughout their whole life to other people so that they can build on it. But now we've got the internet, and everybody forgot to
Yeah.
tell the teachers.
Yeah, everybody forgot to tell them, hey, maybe you should go look that up before you start an argument with someone.
Yeah. I mean, it's the power that these people had in the past is diminished greatly in the last 20 years, and I think the power of the student is always underestimated, and the system, I think, fears the power of the student because, you imagine any lecture, any big class, you go one lecturer, one teacher, one professor in front of what might be 20 to 50 to 100 students. The collective power and energy of the students is essentially much more than the collective power and energy of the professor, usually.
Yes,
So there's a great sort of misdynamic within the power there. Now you do get the odd professor here and there who is just I don't know, really into their subject. They've studied everything. They've got practical experience out in the world, and they're able to communicate it to people. So you get great lecturers.
You get those people that are the best lecturers that you would ever meet. They tell you everything that they've done in their lives, and they have experience behind their backs to be able to teach that specific subject.
Yeah, they've got they've got all that together, and sadly, these people are few and far between. Yeah, and it takes a lifetime of experience to be able to put yourself in that kind of position, right? You can't just go to university. Yeah, exactly. You can't just go to university, get your teaching degree, and then know everything about everything. And the world is changing so fast as well. I mean, with photography, and with technology developing. Sorry, on you go.
Another problem that I found with photography is there's so many big photographers that have made names for themselves. Someone like Discovery could just call them up and say, hey, okay, we need you on the spot right now. Mm-hmm. People like me have a very slim chance of actually becoming a big photographer in life. So it was a very risky move to make to study photography.
It was. So what led you down that road? What helped you to make that decision?
I was taking photos and stuff with some of my friends, and they say, dude, you take really nice photos. You should go study photography. And it always stuck in the back of my head. Maybe I should do photography. And one day I just decided, let me study it. Let me see what I can do with photography. And they're teaching me everything that I already know. I learned from the internet.
Yeah, and it's kind of a little bit of a waste of time, I imagine, some of what goes on, right? I mean,
yes, it is. Most of it is a waste of time because we would be talking about Photoshop, for instance, and everything that the professor would say, I already knew about that specific program or about the method of photography that he's speaking about.
Mm-hmm.
So there's big flaws in between all of these, in between all of this, because if you think about it, he's just trying to teach you what you already know. So he should be able to know, okay, that guy knows that. Let me start on a different subject. But as well, there are learners in the class that don't know those specific things. So
yeah, well, obviously, I mean, it's going to be a benefit to some people, probably only the lazy people, though, right? Because those who have got off their arse and been interested and gone and then learned it for themselves or had some kind of experience or sitting there waiting for somebody else to give them everything that they need, and they completely miss the point of life, which is to have an experience, right? basically. Yeah, and it's sad that there's very little connection sometimes between the professors and the students, because if the professor is teaching the student something that the student already knows, I mean, I would feel embarrassed telling somebody something that they already
They
know.
already know, yeah.
I'd be
I
like,
would too.
yeah, this is how to make breakfast, right? It's like, we know how to make breakfast. It's like, oh, I'm
I
sorry.
know how to do that.
Yeah, I would be embarrassed standing in front of somebody telling them something that
Standing
they.
in front of a class of 100 kids saying, okay, this is how you do that. And then they're like, okay, we know this.
Yeah, we know.
And that was his whole class that he planned was that specific subject, and they know exactly what to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't understand why everybody just doesn't collectively get together and make. You need one teacher to make one lesson and put it on YouTube, and then you can all fuck off and do something else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you don't need, like, I don't know, 100,000 photography tutors all teaching the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You just don't need it now.
Yeah, well, but instead of going to college to study these things, you can go Google seminars online. There's apps and websites to do these things that you can actually get your diplomas from, and you don't have to leave your own house. So there's
You're right.
yeah, and most of these people don't. Most of the professors and teachers, they don't understand why people would do such a thing. It's just some people don't like going to seminars to learn these things when they can just do it in the comfort of their own home.
Yeah, why make people uncomfortable, right? I mean, what? Yeah, you can learn this in a comfortable, simple, easy way, or we can make it hell for you.
Yeah, or you could pay thousands of dollars a year just to learn what you could learn for free on the internet.
Yeah, and then people go into debt, right? People go into debt because they borrow money.
Bad to pay back. Like, it's bad to pay off student loans and shit like that.
Yeah, and then you've got to find a job doing whatever it is you can later on to try and pay off the student loans. And as you pointed out, if you're studying a career in the arts, it's complicated to get that job at the end, right?
Yeah.
You know, when I was studying, next to the university that I was at was a dance university, and you know, I had friends who were dancers there, and I used to think, are you all going to have jobs as professional dancers when you finish, or, you know, where's this going, right? Where's, you know, what is this leading? What is this leading to? And most of them ended up like doing things like social work and helping old people, and you know, they didn't really think about, is this going to lead to some kind of useful future career? And it's like, yes, there are jobs for dancers, but they're pretty limited.
Yeah, they're limited jobs, and then if you get it, you become you've got two choices. You can either become really successful, or you could end up the guy that lives in the gutter. But it's hard. It's really hard out there. So if you were to study something like to become a pilot, if you go for piloting lessons, okay, you pay what, 20,000, maybe more a month just for one class. So, and there's limited amount of companies that you can go fly for.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, you know, you look at if you look at the market, it's like, is there much more space for many more planes, you know, and pilots? Yeah. It seems to be like there's something taking off and landing every second already, right?
Yeah.
So how much of a future is there? Okay, we've got about 30 seconds left in the conversation. So first of all, I want to say thank you very much for joining.
Thanks very much for letting me do my first podcast with you.
No, that's okay. Hey, just as a quick, if I can say something just for 10 seconds, right? I am related to somebody who is a famous international photographer. Okay, I can't say their name on the podcast, but they're a household name. Okay, and I can tell you they have zero education in photography. Zero education. They just picked up a camera and went where the people go